Hey everybody, this is Sentai Seiya with another video review for CollectionDX. Today we're going to check out the Power Rangers Super Samurai set from the SH Figuarts line. And so normally I don't like to talk about the boxes a whole lot, if any, in my video reviews. But since this is a special release, kind of want to go over it a little bit real quick before we actually get into the toys. So this is the front of the box. This was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which is why you see that logo on the bottom. You got the other stuff on there, Bandai, Tamashii Nations. And so I didn't actually make it down to San Diego Comic-Con, but the good folks at Bluefin have actually made the extra stock of this available for the general public to purchase. And they were cool enough to send us a sample so we can check this out and show you guys what this set is all about. And just so you get a sense of how big this box is, here it is next to a standard size SH Figuarts box. And so you can see that the box for this set, the Super Samurai set, is about 3 times as big as the regular SH Figuarts box. So I'm guessing that they probably packaged this a little bit differently than they would a normal SH Figuarts. And then on the back of the box we see each of the Power Rangers Super Samurai, or the Shinkenger if you're used to watching the Super Sentai version of this. You see them on the back of the box, each holding their specific weapon. And so that's about as much as we're going to talk about the box. I mean, it is a box. It's pretty big, obviously, because it contains all 5 of these characters. But let's actually break this open. And so inside of the box, you get 2 plastic trays. And so the first tray contains the actual figures themselves, the 5 Samurai Rangers. And then the other tray contains all their weapons and also the hands and their Samuraizer, or the Shoto phone. And so let's check out the difference in the paint jobs for these figures by checking out the Super Red, the original release, and the one from this metallic set, the exclusive. So as you can see, the red is metallic on the new one, obviously, because the box told us, and because our eyes tell us the same thing too. Now that's not the only difference. The gold on the belt and on the trim is actually more golden on the new set. The old one is a little bit more yellow, kind of a fake gold. And then also the white is more of a pearly white on the new set, as where the other one is just more of a regular flat white. But still, everything looks very good. The paint apps are different on the figures themselves. The weapons, the Shoto phone, and everything else, the accessories, is pretty much the same. So only the figures themselves receive the new paint jobs. Since this set is part of the SH Figuarts line, you're going to get all the cool articulation that you get with the SH Figuarts. You get a nice ball joint on the ankle, and then a hinge at the toe. The knees are double jointed for a lot of cool movement. You also get a nice swivel at the thigh. You can actually pull out the thigh to extend the legs out, so you can get more range of motion that way. And also on the inside, you have a nice ball joint. At the waist you have a ball joint, and then at the abs you have an ab crunch with another ball joint, so you get quite a bit of movement there. The elbows, just like the knees, are double jointed. You have a ball swivel on the wrist, so you get all kinds of cool movement. You also have a ball swivel at the shoulder, and then this little panel right here at the shoulder that can go forward and back. And at the head of the male figures, you have 2 joints, 2 ball joints, one at the bottom and one at the top of the neck, so you can get a lot of movement. On the other hand, the female figures only have a ball joint at the top. The bottom is pretty much stuck in place, so you can't get as much movement as you can out of the male figures. I don't know why they decided to go with this. Definitely would have helped the female figures to be able to move their head more if you could move the bottom of the neck instead of just the helmet. Now red has a little extra articulation. You can move the shoulder pads up. They're on a little ball joint right here. It's connected to the figure by that arm. And this is so you can move the arms upwards without them being restricted by the shoulder pads. As for the rest of Red's long white coat, it is made of a soft plastic, so it doesn't restrict the movement of the legs. You can move them backwards and the coat will move with it. And so to allow the female characters to move their legs, each of them has a separate skirt that's composed of 3 pieces. You have these side pieces that attach to a peg on the thigh, And then you have this main piece right here, which you have to pop the figure off, and it attaches right there at the ball joint. And with these 4 little pegs, you just pop the top of the character back on. And again, this is so that they can move their legs more freely. Originally, the character comes packaged with the just standalone solid skirt, which is cool if you're going to just have the character stand, but if you're going to get it into some cool, like crouching position or something, then you're definitely going to need to put that 3-piece skirt on. It looks a little weird because you do see the breaks on the skirts, but it's a necessary evil so you can get that extra range of motion with the legs on these female characters. So first off, we have the Blue Ranger with his hydro bow, or the water arrow. Very good looking figure. Looks pretty much like it does in the show. So just like the Rangers themselves, the weapons are actually very nicely detailed. On Blue's weapon, you can even spin the disc on the back of the bow. You can't do this on all the figures, but on this one you can. As for the Yellow Ranger, she comes with her Land Slicer, or Earth Slicer as it was known in the US. Again, this is a very nicely done figure. This is a very nice representation of the Yellow Ranger from Samurai. Again, the weapon also very nicely detailed. She is a little bit smaller, being one of the female figures. And here's a closer look at Yellow's weapon. You can see, very nicely detailed. It even has the Shinkenger, or the Samurai crest, whatever it was called in the US version, on one of the blades. And this is essentially one big shuriken. On the back, the weapon has a handle, so the character can hold it that way. You also have another crest right there on the blade. And built into the handle is the spin disc, or the hidden disc, whatever you want to call it. And not to be outdone, the cool looking green comes with his very own weapon, the wood or forest spear, whatever you want to call it again. So the spear is a very cool looking, very long weapon. And once again, the hidden disc is on this weapon, and this time it's on the back. As for the hidden disc, it's pretty much well stuck into the head of the spear, so you really can't spin it like you can with Blues. And here we have the Pink Ranger with her Heaven's Fan, as it was known in Shinkenger, or the Sky Fan, as it was known in Power Rangers Samurai. The fan, like the other weapons, is very beautifully sculpted. Now if you flip it over to the back, the spin disc does not move. And so here we have Super Red with the Super Mogyu Bazooka. I'm assuming it was called the Super Bullzooka in the US. I don't know, I actually never watched those episodes of Samurai. But very cool weapon. His actually has a lot more going for it than the other ones. And so the Bullzooka is actually made up of a couple different items. Let's open up this hatch at the top, and we can take out the sword with the black box, or the Inrumaru, as it was called in Shinkenger. And inside of it, you can put one of the discs. And this is the Super Shinkenmaru, or the Super Spin Sword, because we've attached the Inrumaru, or black box, whatever you want to call it, onto the sword. And then once you put the sword into the Bullzooka, or Mogyu Bazooka, that's what makes it super, not the fact that it just fell over. So there you have it, the Super Mogyu Bazooka, or the Super Bullzooka. Now besides the signature weapons, all of the Rangers come with a spin sword, or the Shinkenmaru if you want to call it that. This is a very nicely detailed weapon. Looks very much like it does in the show. It always amazes me how much attention to detail Bandai puts into their Figuarts. There is a disc, one of these hidden discs, that you can take off. If you had other discs for each of the individual Rangers, you can attach them on there. But we don't. As I showed earlier, the discs are pretty much attached to the signature weapons of each of the Rangers. Now Red Sword doesn't actually come with a hidden disc attached to it. You can always use one of the discs that comes with it. And these discs are meant to be used. One goes on the Bullzooka, the other one is used on the black box, or the Inrumaru. But if you want to put it on the sword, you can. All the discs are the same size. So there you go. You have the Red Ranger's sword with the white disc on it. And another cool thing about the sword is that you can stick it onto the belt simply by sliding it in. So you can display your Rangers all cool looking with the sword on the belt. And so with this set, we also get the folding swords for 4 of the 5 Rangers, or the origami as they're called in Shinkenger. And so you have the turtle right here in both emblem mode and in its Zord form. You have the ape and the emblem form. You have the bear. You get a better look at that guy and the emblem form. And then we have the dragon and its emblem form. So very cool. And the reason why we don't get Red's Zord is basically because Super Red, the original SH Figuarts release of that character, did not come with the Zord or the origami. This was reserved for the original Red release, which did come with the origami in both emblem form and in its Zord form. Bandai really pays attention to detail sometimes with these figures. Well, the Ape Zord actually can move its arms up and down, which is pretty neat. I mean, Bandai didn't have to do this, but they did. And that's just how Bandai rolls. And also with the Bear Zord, you can move the head up and down. And another thing that all of the Rangers come with is the Shodophone. Now this time around you can't call it the Samuraizer, as it was known in Power Ranger Samurai, because this is obviously a Shodophone. On the tip you have the calligraphy pen tip, and also it folds lengthwise, which the Samuraizer could not do in Power Ranger Samurai. But that's to be expected, since all the figures and the accessories and everything from this set are the exact same as the ones that were used for the Shinkenger releases. So, even though it is a Super Samurai set, you get the Shodophone instead of the Samuraizer. And so besides all the cool stuff we've already seen, this release also comes with a whole bunch of hands for each one of the characters. And this really adds to the expressiveness of the toys. And these are packaged in these little baggies. Each one of the hands is separated into its own little compartment, and you just, obviously pop them out of each section. So you get a ton of hands, obviously, because you have 5 Rangers, and each has their own different set of hands. They do share some hands, but they each also have a couple signature hands. I'm not a big fan of this packaging, though, the individual little baggies for each of the hands. I know this was done to save space. Obviously, had they put each of the hands into its own little slot on the plastic tray, the set would have taken a lot more space, as was the case with the original releases. So once you pop all these little hands out of the baggies, you're left with one storage option, and that's to put them into these little squares in the tray. So what I did is I put the set of hands for each of the Rangers into its own Ziploc bag and then labeled them. This way I don't have to worry about having to open up the package carefully and having the hands fly out of the little squares, because if you get all these hands mixed up, it's going to be hard to separate them. And then this is kind of an issue if you want to keep each character's hands separate. I mean, if you don't care, you can just throw them all in there. So all around, this is a super nice set. I like the metallic paint job. I know this might not be to everybody's liking. The suits in the Power Ranger Samurai show and Shinkenger were a little shiny, but nowhere near as shiny as the metallic job on these characters. But I think they look good. It reminds me of the metallic paint jobs that Bandai would do on some of the characters back in the day. I remember around the time that the Power Rangers movie came out, they did some of the metallic flip heads. So I believe that this is what they're kind of nodding towards. They decided to do a nod towards the old toys with the metallic paint job. So all around though, super posable figures, super nicely done, super detailed, super cool. I mean, really, you can't go wrong with this set, unless again you don't like the metallic paint job. So that's been it for this review. This has been Sentai Seiya with another Collection DX review. Thanks for joining me.